Welcome back to another episode of the Honest Speed Show podcast dedicated to the everyday automotive enthusiast. Today we have Matt Everetts with Hilliard Green Detailing Garage and our very own Professor Brap. Let's get into it.
What's going on?
Yeah, Miatas are a great bang for a buck because they're cheap and when they break, because every car breaks no matter what anyone wants to say.
Yeah.
You can fix it for nothing in comparison to a lot of other cars like Z3s and
Yeah.
pick your European poison.
Yeah. E46s, from what I've seen, are they're the easiest of the BMWs, but they're still not easy.
Yeah. I really like E36 but even then, there's just some things that really are frustrating about them. But yeah, the Miatas are a great bang for the buck. I like E46 M3s. They drive phenomenal.
Yeah.
But when they break...
Yeah, S54s I've heard horror stories about. I heard that by the end of the S54, when you got into the Z4Ms, that a lot of stuff was sorted out by the end. But yeah.
They're still...
Yeah.
You can read, blow motor in Miata. It's $300 or $400 from a local guy in Columbus that'll sell you a used motor. You blow motor in your M3.
Yeah, then you're getting a Chevy V8 for it because you can't afford a replacement.
Just LS swap it.
Yeah.
Put a 2J in it. Pick whatever you want to swap in it.
Yeah. What was it Mr. Regular said? That in time, everything gets in LS?
Yeah.
Yeah.
LSs make a lot of sense. I've had this discussion with people before, but the difference between a Coyote swap and an LS swap, Coyote's bigger and costs quadruple the price initially.
Yeah, what was it? There was some engine that I was surprised. Oh, I was thinking about it the other day. The Triton V10 from that they used to use in F250. It just kind of dawned on me. I forgot that engine existed. Why hasn't anybody tried to swap that into a smaller
Big and
car?
heavy. It's iron block, iron head.
Oh, yeah.
And at around 150,000 miles, they usually burn up a set of rings, and they need re-ringed and honed. And
you can't argue with the sound of, the V8s that people swap. But another thing I've been interested in seeing, too, is people building those Cobra kit cars with EcoBoosts.
Mm-hmm.
If it will happen.
I have a good friend of mine that has a Cobra kit car. It's a factory 5 car, and it has a Toyota 2UZ V8 in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. I've seen most of those people put the Windsor in them, from what I've seen, or 5-liter.
Yeah.
But I have seen a few Corvette engines, which is always kind of annoying because that car was, originally, powered by Ford.
There's a guy on one of the Facebook pages I'm on. He has one with a Hellcat motor in it.
Oh, really? I've seen Hellcat crate motors pop up.
They're cheap.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about them. They made a bunch of them, so parts are still plentiful.
Yeah. That's the one thing with Dodge is I think what they've done is cool. They're dumping V8s and everything, supercharging everything, but are they really making their money back?
Yeah.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I guarantee it. I mean, all the Demons sold, all the Hellcats sell.
Yeah.
I've never driven by a lot and seen a Trackhawk sitting there.
Yeah, but I mean, the one thing that always drives me nuts is with Fiat Chrysler is they're not putting money in the cars that are practical, the cars that people are actually going to buy. They're coming out with these crazy powerful cars, and yeah, it's cool, but they could be making more money when it comes to coming out with something that's practical.
They've always kind of catered towards the enthusiast market, though.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Ford dumped all their cars.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing. Is
the current rumor of the new Mustang. Have you seen it?
Uh-uh.
It's going to be Expedition base, an all-wheel drive Mustang.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
I know they came out with the all-wheel drive Challenger GT. Is that what they called it? But it was a V6.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that with the Hellcat or Demon engine.
It's been swapped.
Yeah.
Already.
Oh, has it?
Yeah. I like Hellcats and Challengers. I just do.
Have you driven one?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't driven one yet.
They're fun.
Yeah.
It's very much. It's got kind of that Viper feel of it wants to hurt you.
Yeah.
Except you can turn nannies on and it won't kill you.
I took one of my friends for a ride in your guys' 996 once, and his dad has a C6 Z06, and I said, no, the Porsche is fast, the power and the weight is pretty similar to your dad's Corvette, but your dad's Corvette has a massive, LS7 naturally aspirated V8, so your dad's car feels like it's going to kill you. I said, the Porsche's smooth.
It is.
It throw you back in your seat initially, but it just builds speed, and you look down, it's so smooth, you don't realize you're going over 100 miles an hour after you put your foot into it after a few seconds.
That's kind of how the Viper is very aggressive initially, but it just pulls so hard to redline.
Yeah.
And you go through a couple gears and you look down and you're going, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing is linear cars are so much fun. Because turbo cars, they are fun. Once the boost builds, and, it kicks in. But it's fun to have the power on demand.
It's gonna be a sad day when the big displacement cars go away.
Yeah, it is.
They're moving towards that, and it will happen.
Yeah, we're already seeing it. Because I remember when I was 15 years old and I got my truck, which had it only has a 2-valve 4.6, but I had the exhaust on it and it sounded fast. I was 15 years old and I thought it was fast. And up until the time I was about 17, 18, the truck, not from a dead stop. It was slow from a dead stop, but when you pulled on people on the road, it was faster than a lot of the cars, on the road. If you're already moving, because it, had that power of a V8. But now, within the last few years, as I've gotten older, all these
Siennas
cars,
and crossovers, and
all these cars have these turbocharged engines, and my truck's just one of the slowest things on the road right now. When I first got it, it was. Most people are still driving post-depression, post-recession cars, I should say, that, before the big, small engine with the turbo, that made a lot of power.
Yeah, I will miss the days when big engines were gone, because just the way the power comes on and pulls, it's a sensation.
Oh yeah, it's so fun. And even the sound too. You can't get that growl out of a 4-cylinder.
Yeah, no 4-cylinder will idle like a Viper, or any big V8 for that matter, or V10.
And it'll have that growl and that gurgle when you first start it up. The cold starts with the V8 are seems the most satisfying part of my day.
Yeah,
it's nice. But yeah, the one thing that really annoyed me was in 2015, the Mustang had 3 engine options. There's the 5-liter, there's the V6, and then you had the 2.3 EcoBoost, and you could fully option out the EcoBoost, you could fully option out the 5-liter, but the only way you could get options on the V6 is if it were a rental car. So if you were just consumer buying the V6, you couldn't get any options on it. So you couldn't get tinted windows, you couldn't get the dark painted wheels. It was just great.
Base.
Yeah, silver alloys, clear windows. It was just super base. And I've always thought the V6 Mustang, not being as fast as the 5-liter, I always thought it was. They were still nice cars. I would still drive one.
I mean, a new V6 Mustang would still outrun a 5-liter Fox body at the time.
Oh, absolutely. And 2017 rolls around. Ford reveals the facelifted 2018 Mustang, and they say, "Oh, we're doing away with the V6 because we didn't have the sales numbers that we wanted to keep it."
They did that.
Well, you did that on purpose. So now you just killed. Now talking about middle age and on. Those types of people want naturally aspirated cars. They don't trust turbos. My parents, they'll tell me, "Oh, I'd rather have a V6 or V8 Mustang. I don't trust turbocharged cars, even if they are reliable."
It's that stigma behind them.
Yeah, and people in the age range that can afford, those sports cars, are buying them for retirement, things like that, want naturally aspirated. If they don't want the V8, they don't have the option, to buy the V6 anymore. You're stuck with the EcoBoost.
The people that buy new cars don't want the small little turbo 4-cylinder.
Yeah.
I've always found that kind of funny, but
yeah, you can have fun in them. Like the Edge Sport that came out in 2015, 2016 with the 2.7 liter turbocharged engine, 0 to 60 in 5.6, 5.7 seconds. One of my friends had a company car from Ford, and he's allowed to do whatever he wanted with it, and took it out and had some fun with it. It was a fun car. And I've even met people, walking through parking lots. "Oh, you got Edge Sport," and you're like, "How do you like it?" And the guys, one guy told me, "Oh, I just bought it because my wife liked the color." And I'm like, "Dude, do you realize that this thing's pretty quick?
Yeah,
you can have some fun with this car."
I actually talked to an older lady with a SHO Taurus, and she bought it because it was an SHO. She replaced her first-gen SHO Taurus. She goes, I just like them."
Yeah.
She goes, "It's quick and it's fun."
Yeah. Yeah, the SHO Taurus, and then there's the Explorer Sport that came out too. Those were pretty quick, and you could tune those for more power. And yeah, I mean, you can have some fun with the turbo cars, but I also question the reliability in the long run.
Well, they got like the water weight oil in them, and
yeah,
you can tell there's that disposable factor to them nowadays. Just like we had in the '90s, but I still think the '90s cars were built better.
Yeah, I do too. It's especially when you German cars, even the BMW. You go from the E46, which was bulletproof, to the E90, which wasn't as bulletproof, and then you've got the current car, and you compare the build qualities, the thickness of certain materials, and all that. And the older cars, they're just better. I think they were built way better.
Well, like another good example of that is the 4Runner going from the 4th gen to the 5th gen. Driving one pretty hard back to back, the 4th gen's definitely built better. The metal's thicker. Yeah. It's a lot less tin canny when you hit bumps.
Yeah, and I remember back when I was 3 or 4 years old, we bought a Malibu. It was a 2000 Malibu, and I remember a few years later, the next generation came out. And, we kept our Malibu. We had 165,000 miles on it when, I ended up getting totaled, unfortunately. But the next generation of Malibu, you didn't see those on the road a few years even after they came out. And I just remember my parents went and looked at them. And I just remember I was a little kid, and they just talked about how poorly made it was compared to the one that we had. And as time progressed, the economy got, pretty bad there for a few years. And cars, car companies cut their quality.
Trying to save money so they can keep selling cars.
And I've noticed, from detailing, 500 plus cars, is after the recession, some car companies made really nice cars. Ford made, decent quality cars after the recession. General Motors continued to make really bad cars.
I'm not the biggest fan of General Motors.
I'm not either.
They're really good at making something that I would not be happy with if I owned it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they are. And every year you go to the Detroit Auto Show, and I sit in these General Motors cars, and they've been bad for a long time. And I'll admit, within the last year or two, they've really stepped their game up. They've gotten a lot better, but it's still not where they should be.
Like even compared to the other big three, the Dodge and Ford, they're still not there, and then they're still behind the others.
Yeah, and even
Kia and Hyundai have made strides in the quality department.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
GM's just standing there going,
Yeah, the newer Kias and Hyundais that I've worked on, they're not bad cars.
No,
I hate to admit it.
I consider buying one.
Yeah, I hate to admit it, but I remember, kids I went to high school with had the early 2000s Hyundais, and I remember it felt like you could punch a hole through the door. They were just so thin. And they were slow and they felt unsafe. But the newer ones, I'm shocked. They're put together well. The door feels nice when you close it. They have plush carpet. They've got either nice cloth seats or decent leather that's doesn't tear as easily as it should. They've really stepped their game up, and their cars they're still cheap because they still have that stigma of it's a Hyundai, it's a Kia, so they still have to price them lower, even though they're a lot better than a lot more expensive cars that are out right now.
Well, that's like the Stinger going after the M4. I mean, I'd buy a Stinger over an M4.
Yeah.
On end of the day, I think it's a better value for the money.
Yeah.
It's just a better car if you're going to keep it long term.
Yeah, it's weird. Everything's the complete opposite in in the car industry that what you think it should be right now. You've got the cars, these companies, General Motors, that dominated for decades. They for solid 10, 15 years they just built horrible cars. They're finally coming out of that, and you've got these lower brands that. Honda and Toyota in the 80s, everybody would laugh at them, and their cars, lasting hundreds of thousands of miles, and they're the pinnacle of reliability in America now. I
mean, I drive the epitome of disposable economy cars, and I got my current daily driver. I'm edging up on 300,000 miles.
Yeah,
it gives me almost no issues day to day.
Yeah, and that's another thing too is proper maintenance. I hear people all the time like, oh, I had this issue and this issue with the car. Well, they don't take care of them.
Yeah.
Change your oil every 3,000 miles. I don't care if the owner's manual says 10, 15,000 miles.
They do that on purpose.
Yeah, change it every 3,000 miles. Change your air filter. Check your fluids. Change your brake pads. Flush your brake fluid. Just do basic things.
Well, like a lot of new cars, the art of small, cheap, light cars is gone.
Yeah.
I can only think of a couple cars that are small, cheap, and light nowadays. And those are, the small little Mitsubishi cars. And I think they're going away anyways.
Yeah.
And the base model Fiestas and Mazda
those
3s.
are gone. Have you seen the new Fiesta ST that only Europe has?
Yep.
Yeah, some of the
supposedly that's just leaps and bounds better from what I've read.
Yeah, and some of the Ford employees in Detroit have them, even though technically they're only for sale in Europe. They have them as company cars, and I've gotten pictures from one of my friends who lives up there, and they're sharp. They're good looking cars, and we don't get them.
One of my favorite new cars I've driven recently is a brand new Mazda 3 with a manual base.
Yeah, one of my friends has one of those.
And it's just a ride to drive, but I like the small little underpowered cars because you can drive hard as you want.
Yeah,
you're never going to get in trouble.
Yeah, it's an honest little car. I've driven one of those too. One of my friends bought one, and it's just it handles well. It doesn't make much road noise, and it does what you want it to.
Yeah, Mazda does good with that. Even with the Miata, it hasn't really grown that much compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
If you think about how much a 911's grown from 89 to 2018.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a completely different size.
Yeah, it's, you put them side by side, it almost looks like it's twice the size. And the crazy thing is, too, as you talk about economy cars, is we've got a Focus that's only a couple years old, which is Focus hatch, which is supposed to be, a small economy car. And when we've had, your guys' 911 in our garage, the Focus makes the 911, look like a tiny car. The 911, next to the Focus looks massive.
Well, that's pickup trucks are getting huge.
Yeah.
Everything's huge. I parked next to a new Escalade in a parking lot a few days ago, and I was looking up at it, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, even, you pull up, I've got a 2004 F-150, single cab, regular size bed. The new Rangers that we're getting and the current Colorados, they're bigger than my truck.
Yeah.
And those are the small trucks now.
Yeah, that's just, I know why, but it's still ridiculous.
So that concludes today's podcast. We thank you guys for listening to Matt and Wes just kind of go at it.
We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Matt, what are your online credentials?
Online credentials, you can find me on Instagram. It's matt.everetts, Everetts. You can find me on LinkedIn, Matt Everetts as well. Twitter is matt.everetts as well. Snapchat is matt.everetts, and you can find me on Facebook, Matt Everetts.
He's way fancier than me. I just got Instagram and Facebook.
And you can find Professor Brap. It's Professor_Brap on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys, again. We'll see you later.